Hello fellas, little question. What colour is your Bugatti? Because basically, in 2022, this has been pretty much the most widespread question that I have seen absolutely everywhere. Pretty much throughout the entire world, scientists have been studying this question, philosophers have been consistently debating this question, and TikTokers everywhere have been commenting this throughout the entire application that seems to be called TikTok. Basically, in 2022, this question is pretty much the modern version of what is the meaning of life. And in fact, there are two other questions that are just as important as what color is your Bugatti. In fact, there are three questions embodied and ingrained into modern society. And those three questions are, of course, what color is your Bugatti? But also the other questions are, what is the name of your girlfriend? And the third final question is, how does it feel to not live in your mother's basement at the age of 33 years old? And the thing is, fellas, shockingly enough, none of these three questions can actually be answered by anybody in the Andrew Tate fan base. But yes, today we're going to be speaking about Andrew Tate. And I know at this point, every single human being under the sun has given their opinion on Andrew Tate, but I actually made a video about Andrew Tate before it was cool. Well, not really, but it was like 3 months ago. But ever since then, things have just gone crazy. This man is absolutely everywhere. And every single day, people are arguing about him, debating about him, loving him. And just in general, things have just gotten absolutely ridiculous. So in today's video, I want to cover these things: the serious allegations surrounding Andrew Tate, the main reason Andrew moved to Romania, and not the watered down version that he keeps putting out for PR reasons because he realized that the first version he put out was really bad. But also we'll be covering Tate's business model, Andrew Tate's rise to fame and his fan base, and just in general how it's currently being perceived that Andrew is negatively affecting modern society. But before we do any of that, I do just want to give you guys a message from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Adam and Eve. Now, you've probably seen these guys absolutely everywhere because, to be honest with you, they're genuinely just really good and really easy to work with, and even easier to just go and buy their products, to be honest with you, and I do not recommend these guys enough. If you want to go and massively help me out, please go over to adamandeve.com and use code NAB for 50% off one item and free shipping in the US and Canada, and yes, some exclusions do apply. And my friends, if you are lovely enough to use my code and buy something from Adam and Eve and you don't actually like the product, well, you do actually have 24/7 customer service, and you also have 90-day no-hassle returns. But it gets even better when you realize that 20% of all profits from Adam and Eve go to fighting the spread of HIV around the world. So just in general, you get something out of it, I get something out of it, everyone gets something out of it. It's really good and I really recommend it. So thank you to Adam and Eve for sponsoring this video. Now, I think the best place to start this video is with Andrew Tate and his beliefs himself. Because, you know, Andrew, he believes a lot of things. He's known for being this alpha male that really just puts out the messages out there that the woke media are afraid to tell you, you know. This guy is pretty much known for spitting facts and spitting hard truths that, you know, those woke liberals, those little soy people won't actually like. Something on those lines that some sweaty 25-year-old man in his mum's basement once said on my TikTok comments. Basically, Tate is known for having a lot of strong opinions. So I thought where better to start with his strong opinions than his Twitter account, where he used to regularly post pretty much opinions about politics, opinions about mainstream topics. And I thought, you know what? Let's take a look at some of these. Now, the Twitter account has actually been suspended, and to be honest with you, I can kind of understand that. And it all begins with Andrew's wonderful takes about Harvey Weinstein. Yes, the same Harvey Weinstein that was charged with forcible oral copulation and basically all of the worst possible crimes you could ever possibly imagine. This guy was one of the worst human beings to ever exist in Hollywood, and they are now worldwide renowned for pretty much just being absolutely terrible. If you're British and you want an equivalent of it, pretty much it's just take the Hollywood version of Jimmy Savile and you've got Harvey Weinstein. And you're probably wondering, well, what was the top G's personal opinion about all of that? Well, it was this. Sexual harassment is disgusting and inexcusable. Starting positive, you know, this is a good place. Oh no. Oh God, he says, however, a man looking at you or whistling at you or asking your name isn't harassment. I mean, I don't know if this is controversial, but It literally is. Like, there's no other way of saying it. It literally is. What you are doing is trying to get the attention of somebody that you have been staring at thinking that they are attractive. This person probably doesn't know who you are. They are on the other side of the road for you in most cases, and you are whistling at them, signifying that you think that they are hot or attractive. That's pretty much what happens when somebody wolf whistles at somebody, and in my personal opinion, that is harassment. This is somebody just trying to go about their day, walking down the road, but then you have some sweaty old bloke on the other side of the road pretty much disturbing and ruining their day because they just couldn't keep their opinions and thoughts to themselves. You may think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, that's probably because you've never actually been wolf whistled. I've never been wolf whistled because typically it is something that just happens to women, but I can imagine it's not really a nice experience given the fact that pretty much every single woman that I know has had to deal with some form of harassment of where they are just walking down the streets. My girlfriend currently, literally every time she leaves our flat, will get harassed to some extent. It happens with pretty much everyone, and it all begins at wolf whistling. If we normalize that type of behavior, it's only going to build up and get worse and worse. Yes, it could be considered slightly less, I guess, bad as some cases of harassment, but at the end of the day, all forms of harassment are still harassment. I think a very common misconception when it comes to harassment is that it can only be one thing and typically always the worst thing, which I think is something that we really need to stamp out, but people like Andrew Tate don't allow that. Wolf whistling is a type of harassment. There are multiple types of harassment. Just because somebody isn't being grabbed and thrown to the floor or kidnapped doesn't mean that somebody wolf whistling somebody isn't harassment. There are different forms of it, and I think people really need to understand that. But I think a massive problem in society is that people genuinely don't understand what harassment is, what constitutes harassment, and just in general how somebody or what somebody does when they harass someone. But shockingly enough, this take that he actually just gave was pretty much just the tamest one out of all of these. When we move on to his opinions about Harvey Weinstein, and this is what he has to say. Secondly, Harvey is a creep, obviously. The thing is with all of these tweets, they actually do start fairly decent. He's like, yes, this thing is bad, but actually it's kind of not. And the reason he does this is because he can get away with saying something trash because his demented fan base will be like, oh, but he said this thing is bad, but, you know, at the same time, yes, he did say that, but he also said this. Harvey's a creep, obviously, but women have been exchanging sex for opportunity for a very long time. Some did this and weren't abused. Now, Andrew, it's very strange that you say that because to me personally, I don't believe that this is an exchange. Or this, or even this, and this, and this. I don't think any of this is an exchange for a service. And I think the fact that you are downplaying these serious crimes as an exchange is genuinely disgusting and just a good representation of who Andrew Tate is as a human being. He is willing to take one of the worst people in Hollywood, one of the worst people in general, and water his crimes down to an exchange. And I know in this he said some did this and weren't abused, but to be honest with you, I just think that's another case of Andrew saying something, I guess, that can be construed in different ways to argue, oh, we didn't mean this, and oh, we didn't mean that. But no, everyone that Weinstein slept with as an exchange was abused. It was somebody in a significant position of power using his power to get certain levels of gratification out of people that were just looking to go up the ranks of Hollywood, and the way they were made to do that was by being blackmailed into doing things that they did not want to do. None of this was an exchange, and the fact he's downplaying it just really shows who this guy is. But then it gets even worse when you get to the next point and it says, if you put yourself in the position to be raped, you must bear responsibility. And then he says he's not okay saying you got raped. But you literally are saying that, because by you saying you need to bear responsibility, you are indicating that you think people willingly put themselves in these positions, which to me says that you think that these things are okay to some degree because the person put themselves in that position. But then it follows up and gets worse and worse, where he says, take some personal responsibility. This zero blame game is damaging to the female as whole. protect yourselves. And this is the rhetoric that a lot of people out there love to spread and love to push. These people who are, what's it called typically? Terrible human beings. These people that say, oh, a woman shouldn't wear this piece of clothing and a woman shouldn't get drunk if they don't want these things to happen. This is something these awful human beings like to say as some form of defense for when these horrific things happen, because they themselves are probably guilty of those horrific things. And by saying things like this, you are only enforcing more terrible narratives. You are trying to convince men that it's okay if they do these things, because you are convincing these men that these women put themselves into these positions. By saying put yourself in these positions, you're making it sound like it's consensual when it's absolutely not. And it's just so mind-blowing that this guy is now running pretty much one of the biggest online cults. Instead of saying that, why don't you say that we should teach young men and men in general to not do these things? Why don't we teach the fact that just because a woman is wearing a certain piece of clothing doesn't give you any form of right over them? Just because they're drinking lots of alcohol doesn't give you some form of right over them in that situation. We should be teaching people not to take advantage of people based on what they are doing and what they are wearing, not blaming the people that are just wearing clothes and enjoying their life. That is disgusting, but ultimately, this is what Andrew Tate is. This is his personality. This is his beliefs. And I know people will say, oh, but this was years ago. These are deleted tweets now. I mean, he was suspended, but also at the same time, he clearly still believes these things based on all of the statements out there like this, and this. The guy has not changed his beliefs. And if anything, he's probably just gotten worse, but I think he's saying it less extreme and he's kind of, mixing it in with a few good things here and there of being like, men should be strong and independent. And for some reason, people will hear that and ignore things like this. It's just absolutely insane. But ultimately, this is Tate and this is how he runs his industry, business, and his life. And now, my friends, everything that we've gone through so far, typically with a normal human being that doesn't have 16 hours average TikTok time per day on their iPhone, usually they would be like, yeah, that's enough for me. This person's clearly a tragic human being and I do not want any association with them, no matter if they say one good thing every 600 things, They would think, this guy sucks, I'm staying clear of this. But sadly, what we are dealing with here aren't normal, regular people. We are dealing with people that are just so unbelievably desperate to support bad people, because they'll hear these things and they'll be like, oh, I don't agree with any of that, but at the same time, you can't deny he spits facts when he's saying that men should be independent, strong, and powerful. And it's like, oh, wow, what a original and wonderful, cool take that nobody other than Andrew Tate has ever said before. Wow, I can't believe the man is saying that man should be strong, powerful, and rich. I can't believe that man thinks that man should have good life. That's truly a revolutionary take. I hate to say this because it's a very overused phrase, but it is a good phrase. But a broken clock is right twice a day. That doesn't mean you need to support that broken clock. If that clock has committed or said something absolutely horrible, you're not gonna go and support the clock. And now, I know clocks aren't real human beings, so instead, replace the clock with Andrew Tate. Just do that. And then apply the same logic, because it's pretty much the exact same thing. If you're coming to Andrew Tate because you want somebody to say, ooh, you need to be strong and powerful, I mean, great. I mean, if you want to be strong and powerful, go to the gym. You don't need to support this guy at the same time. If you as a human being want to be successful, rich, independent, you can do that without following Andrew Tate on every form of social media and paying a subscription-based service for his pyramid scheme. You don't need to do that. You can go follow somebody like Joey Swole, a lovely bloke that does promote positivity for men, and I recommend going and following him, not Andrew Tate. To me personally, it does just seem that a lot of people like to bust out excuses for following this man, and in fact, when they say that they don't agree with everything he says, they most likely do, and they're just afraid to say it in case their mum kicks them out of their basement. There are so many people out there that are terrible, but also at the same time preach good messages. I mean, look at James Charles, for example. The guy is an awful person, but at the same time, he does preach mental health awareness, and I'm sure the bloke's given money to charity. But does that mean that I'm gonna fucking excuse all the things that he's admitted to and done? No, because I'm a human being, and when I see somebody has done something absolutely terrible, it usually overshadows all of the smaller good things they've done. Oh, you're just saying this because you want pussy. Firstly, in a relationship. But secondly, by saying that, you literally are just saying that any form of positivity that you have put towards another human, in your eyes, is just an exchange for sexual gratification. By you saying going against Andrew Tate is you trying to get pussy, that's you saying that whenever you respect another human being, you are just trying to get some form of sexual gratification. But also, how does that work when I am literally bisexual? Does that mean every single human being that I respect, I'm trying to fuck? Because to be honest with you, I don't necessarily think that's accurate. And a lot of people in this fan base like to say, as I said, oh, well, it's not negatively impacting me, you know, I just follow this guy because I think he says right things here and there about, I don't know, going to the gym or building yourself as a better person. But to be honest, I can't take that as a genuine response. Because by you being a part of this online cult, you are only normalizing Andrew Tate and encouraging his growth. You are only helping that, and some people in his group, in his fandom, will become bad people. Sure, maybe you're not going to go out and do something terrible, but a lot of people will, and I have some evidence of that. And an example of that is in this Reddit thread I found of where somebody claims that they were physically assaulted for merely disagreeing with their so-called friend about Andrew Tate, and they even provided screenshots of the injuries they received, and yeah, this is the Andrew Tate fanbase. And good God, man, if you're still a part of this fanbase, just realize that despite my opinions of you being a moron, doesn't mean that you have to be hooked into this thing forever. You can get out of this thing, because I promise you, in like 5 years' time, we're going to get so many people being like, I was in the 2022 alt-right pipeline. That's going to happen. I promise you guys, that is something which we are going to witness, and I will sit here and be like, I said this, and it's going to happen again, because in 5 years' time, we'll get another Andrew Tate, and then 5 years after that, we'll get another Andrew Tate, and the process just continues and continues. But people would love to be like, oh, but this guy's different because he speaks facts. No, they're all the same, and they are all just using you for profit. And fellas, if you thought all of this was the only real issues to Andrew Tate, I'm sorry. It is. I don't know why I'm saying I'm sorry. I feel like if you, with Andrew Tate, are still a fan of him, I mean, you're probably just going to dislike this video and leave and not listen to me, because at this point, the information is all out there for the most part. You just need to do pretty much just one Google search. But if you are an Andrew Tate fan, I would love to know how you defend all of that, but I would also love to know how you defend Andrew's reasoning for moving to Romania.
This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania, because in Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. If you're going to go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988, they're going to say we should have done something about it then. If you're going to go to the police and say yesterday, say, okay, if you got physical evidence, or is there CCTV proof? Where'd it happen? Okay, let's go interview him right now. And if it wasn't really, I'd say, oh, we went to the club, we got drunk, she agreed to go back to my house, we started having sex, and then we carried on having sex, and then we had sex, and she didn't say anything wrong, and then she texted me afterwards, and I didn't text back, and now she's saying I raped her. The police would be like, okay, she's an idiot, bye. But no, not in the West. In the West, you can tell them that exact story, you're still fucked. You're fucked in the West. When people say, why did you live in Romania? And I explain my 5 reasons. One of them is the Me Too era. They go, oh, well, you're I say, no, I'm not fucking. But I like the idea of being able to just say, to do what I want. I like being free. And if you're a man living in England or Germany or America or any of the Western world right now, you've decided to live in a country where any woman, any ex, any fucking bitch who works at Greg's who you bought a pasty from, at some point in the future can destroy your life. This Me Too era bullshit has not protected women. It's just destroyed the safety of men.
Now I'm not going to give an emotional response to this. I'm pretty sure I did that in my last video. Instead, I'm going to respond to this with facts. Because maybe, just maybe, but given how much the Andrew Tate fans love just spitting facts and stuff, allow me to spit some facts. The number of people prosecuted and convicted for has fallen to the lowest level since records began in England and Wales. Now, some people may say, oh, well, that's proof that education's working and things are changing and getting better. No, it's actually the complete opposite of that. This is a chart showing the reports of in England and Wales, and this is a comparison to the convictions. As you can see, convictions have halved since 2016, despite reports are clearly going up. So what makes this weird is Tate's reasoning to moving to Romania is because he wanted to get away from the police that might convict him for a horrible crime like SA, which is just bizarre to me because this is clearly an establishment, a police force that rarely actually convicts people in the first place. So this makes me think, I think the very fair question of what has this man done? He was so scared of a police force which famously do fucking nothing. He was so scared of them that he moved to Romania to get to more police that do less than the UK police, I guess according to him. I don't know how true that is, but it says, what has this guy done? What crime has he committed? I found this clip earlier, which is just so suspicious, and it makes me think, what have you done?
And they'd think like I was this big baller in London. I mean, I had an apartment and a nice car. My life was fine. But I also had some problems from a previous life, which I can't talk about on the internet.
Wow, I really wonder why Andrew can't speak about these things on the internet. I really wonder what Andrew Tate possibly did in his past life that can't go on the internet. Wow, based on everything that we've spoken about today, I just can't put my finger on it. I really wonder. This is a man so many people are now supporting, and I will continue to repeat that 50 million times. It begins with, oh, I don't support him because, I just think he's funny. But then 4 months later, it leads to people saying, oh, but he do be kind of spitting facts though. I mean, what's the facts? The fact that he moved to Romania because he was terrified of being prosecuted for something like SA, being scared of a police force, which I will say again, do pretty much absolutely nothing. He was scared of this police force, and he moved to Romania in fear of those guys. And you just can't help but think, what is going on here? And with statements such as, how do you support people like Andrew Tate despite having a mother, a daughter, a sister, or just a woman in your life? I do think that that statement is slightly flawed because it does imply that some people only respect women or just respect human beings in general based on when they have an emotional connection to them, when it should just be in general, you respect women and women's rights because that's a normal human thing to do. But you do actually have to wonder, how can any of these people have a connection with anybody other than a man while supporting Andrew Tate? I saw a tweet of somebody saying that they argued with their boyfriend or something because of Andrew Tate, and I'm just thinking, why are you still in this relationship? It may seem extreme, but to me, if you support openly and actively Andrew Tate, you most likely don't respect anybody other than men. And now I'll probably get a lot of incels being like, oh yeah, that's true. And I mean, okay, I hope you enjoy prison in like 10 years time when the FBI eventually raid your home. But to the slightly normal people that support Andrew Tate, if you exist, why? Why do you persist with this? And then why do you lie that you say you actually just, do respect women, but you do agree with Andrew's takes on some other things? To me, it's just bullshit, an excuse, and just a reason to platform hate. And I think it's time to stop with this bullshit and admit to yourselves that yes, you are in the wrong here. And I thought I would just interject here and say, I don't want to sound like a 2016 BuzzFeed writer, but at the end of the day, it's also not just women that you're putting the fear into. People who are LGBTQ+, your friends who are gay, trans, non-binary, lesbian, these people will also be scared of you. People that just don't fall under the umbrella of a straight dude will most likely be scared of you if you support people like Andrew Tate actively, publicly, and just in general. I'm not trying to sound like this big guru, justice guru, I don't know. I'm just trying to be real here and say, I can't see just a coincidence here that all people that aren't a straight dude are scared of people that support Andrew Tate. This is not a coincidence, and I'm just trying to appeal to some people who are on the cusp of kind of supporting Andrew, but maybe at the same time not. Just realize that if you fall into that pit in 5 years' time, where you definitely will regret this period of time, there will be people that remember remember this and remember you chose to do that. Please, for the love of God, just realize that you don't have to do this. And I know it might sound dramatic, but man, in history, there are so many cases of people that support somebody for a joke over a period of time, but then that joke leader ends up being even worse than we originally thought, and a lot of bad things happen. So please, do not follow the same cycle that history constantly follows every 5 years. I'm on my knees, man. I'm not trying to be this big guru who pretends to know everything about feminism theory. I'm just trying to be real with you. But then, my friends, I am up close to tell you it gets even worse when you go into the most popular topic of Andrew Tate of sex trafficking allegations. Why am I this close up to the camera? I don't know. Now, in April 2022, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate had their home raided over allegations that they had pretty much just kidnapped an American woman and were holding them at this facility. Now, Tate has gone on to deny these allegations, which I will get into, but according to the Daily Beast, these investigations are actually still ongoing. But even when you look at Tate's response to all of this, to me personally, it doesn't really line up.
Right, can I talk a little bit about the origins of this story? So, the origins of this story is because there were some photographs of the police who did in fact come to my house, and the police did in fact search my house. Now, the internet, like everything else, they get pictures of the police searching someone's house. The internet can just run away with whatever it wants to say. But the actual story, I wish it was something cooler. It's so fucking lame that I'm going to tell you all right now. A girl had been at a party at my house, and her boyfriend, who was obviously a fan of Emergency Meeting Live, saw her Instagram stories, said, "Oh my God, you're at the Tate brothers' house in Romania." This was some American chick.
I thought I'd just interject here and say it's incredibly suspicious and kind of weird that Tristan, Andrew's brother, likes to be like, "Oh yeah, there was just this random American woman here in the middle of Romania." And it's like, that's a little bit weird that somebody from America, just some random 21-year-old from America, so happened to end up in the middle of Romania at Andrew Tate's house. Somebody that has so many allegations surrounding them, with Andrew and Tristan convincing women to come over to Romania to work for them. It even says in the original article that exposed this story that in regards to the 21-year-old Emma Gabby, they allegedly stated that she was approached on Facebook by Tristan, who after a short period managed to convince her that he was in love with her and basically got her to come to Romania, which is something which I have seen reported all over social media, not just recently, but I found posts of that from years ago of people basically alleging this exact same thing. So I do just think it's a little bit suspicious that they're acting like there was just this random American girl there.
And she went, no, I didn't want to come to this party. They made me come here and I'm not allowed to leave. She said that to her boyfriend. That's some bullshit excuse. So her boyfriend is obviously one of these believe all females. Oh my God, my girl calls.
She was, 1 second. She wasn't even hot.
She wasn't even hot.
She was ugly.
He calls the fucking police and says my girlfriend's being held against her will by the Tate brothers.
I mean, again, this is just an accusation, but this isn't an accusation which has only happened once. I found posts again from years ago of people basically alleging that, yeah, Andrew and Tristan will take away the passports away from these people. And yes, this is just an allegation, but it is a bit weird that these allegations keep coming up, specifically surrounded with these guys, and we will go further into that.
The police call the American embassy, and the next day, the police come to our house, fully loaded. The American embassy send the cops to our house. Now, they take us to the police station. So all the pictures of me and Andrew being taken away by the police, those are real photos. And what happens is they search our house. They find no drugs. They find no women. They find no people. They find nobody. It's a big, luxurious, amazing, badass fucking house, but there's nothing illegal in the house. So we're sitting there at the police station. The prosecutor says, "Yes, we searched your house." I'm like, "All right, good. What'd you find?" "Well, nothing. But the report said that you were holding people hostage." I said, "Bro, there was no one at my house." He goes, "Yes, I know. We checked the CCTV." I said, "Oh, what did you find?" "The girl who made the complaints was outside the gates taking pizza delivery and coming back inside." Ha ha ha. So I'm sitting there laughing. The police are laughing. The prosecutor is laughing. And then I went home. But the internet being the internet, now we run an international human trafficking.
Now, to me personally, this is an actual strange response because it does seem that Andrew and Tristan are pretty much just trying to laugh this off and play this off, and they're acting like pretty much only one girl are involved in this situation, which just is very contradictory when you take a look at a report from the Romanian news source Gandul that says in a rented location approximately 500 meters from the address where they live, 4 girls were discovered, including 3 Romanians and one from the USA. And then it goes on to say that these girls had tattoos on them which said things like belong to Tate and owned by Tate. And these things actually do line up with some old clips I found from Andrew Tate in the past.
Yeah, getting the girl, fucking the girl is the first 10% of the game. Having a girl tattoo your name on her is the other 90%.
And how many girls have your name on them now?
22. I got 20. I'm on 22. I just say to the girl, like, are we going to be together forever? She goes, well, I hope so. I said, well, I don't believe in hopes. It's yes or no. She goes, well, I want to. I said, well, if you genuinely want to, then why wouldn't you get a tattoo?
So yes, that does pretty much line up with the report of, yeah, there were people with tattoos, but this actually then moves us in to the shady business of Andrew and Tristan Tate's cam company, of where Andrew and Tristan seemingly ran a company of where they would get girls to show themselves online, which is a normal thing, but when you go and look into it, it gets shady, especially with the fact that they pretty much just portray themselves to be online pimps. And I think that's where a lot of the sex trafficking allegations do come from, because it very much seems that Andrew and Tristan, according to allegations, pretty much just nice up girls. They tell them that they can make them rich, they can make them have wonderful lives in exchange for them working for them in their cam business. And Andrew has actually spoken about this.
I made a lot of money off vices, the vices of the week. Men fall in love with women online, send all the women their money, they give all the women to me. Sorry, wait, yeah, that's true. I do have all the women, but I also have all the money. So it's a very simple, it's a diagram. Let me draw you a diagram, because it results in me being a G. Let me draw something for you. So basically, this is me at the top, Tate, being the man. Below me are chicks. You can see I drew some titties and a very pretty smile. And below the chicks are men that coincidentally look a lot like you guys, otherwise known as geeks. And what the geeks would do, so here's the diagram. You have me at the top, Tate's Amazing's right. You have me at the top, you have the chicks below. This is one chick, but there can be many. And then you have the geeks. And what would happen is the geeks sent their money to the chick, and the chick gave her money to me. Because I'm the top of the motherfucking food chain. So the geeks gave their money to the chick, and the chick gave her money to me. And this is all based on a hierarchy. Basically because I'm an unquantifiable force of nature. Because I'm such a brilliant individual. Because I'm such a masterful human. I don't have the weaknesses that other people have. So the geeks were weak for the chick, so gave the chick money. And the chicks were weak for this dick, so gave me money. Because I'm a motherfucking G. PIMP. I took these hoes from ghetto streets to hotel suites. I told them if a man thinks you're handsome, they need to pay your ransom. And they paid it, and I gave it all to me.
So to be honest with you, I'm not shocked that Andrew is being investigated for sex trafficking. And you may say investigated? Well, according to the Daily Beast, this investigation is still ongoing, despite Andrew saying that, you know, it's been dropped. When you actually look at the investigation, it seems far more serious and planned than just a random guy calling up the embassy. In fact, this seems very, very suspicious that they've basically just laughed this off. But also you do have to just say, well, why would they admit to these things, you know? If they admitted to these things, I mean, their whole facade would crumble and they would lose millions of pounds. So yeah, they are going to deny this stuff, but the fact of the matter is that they are online pimps. Andrew literally tried to sell a guide to making millions of being an internet pimp, and I even found posts in 2015 of people tweeting about this stuff. I found a thread in 2019 of somebody warning about this and basically saying that Tristan and Andrew niced people up and convinced them to come over to Romania and come over to their business. And these people also have links to other pimps. Because when you look even deeper into this, the ex-girlfriend of Andrew's brother Tristan was actually married to a man called Alex Bodie, who was arrested for human sex trafficking. There is clearly a connection there. I can't take that as a coincidence. The people that are being investigated for trafficking was in a relationship with some somebody who was married to somebody who was arrested for trafficking. There is no way that this is a coincidence, and it shows that these guys are at least heavily linked to these types of people. And I think if you, after all of this, are still supporting them, you are brainwashed and brain dead. These guys clearly do take advantage of people in vulnerable positions by promising them that they will make them rich and make them lots of money, and these guys have spoken about it so many different times, and this is actually a typical technique called the lover boy technique in trafficking. This is pretty much where somebody, I guess, nices someone up, gives them lots of attention, tells them they're going to make them rich and they give them a great life in order to get them to work for them, but then it obviously goes dark and sinister, which in this case it seems to very much have gone there, especially when you look at Tristan and Andrew's links to other people. But also the whole lover boy technique does link up with what the American woman was saying previously. It does link up with these tweets, and when you look at the actual definition of trafficking, things line up here. They get people to come over to their country in the pursuit and name of sexual exploitation. They are preying on vulnerable, typically younger women, and to me personally, that very much does line up with this definition and process. Look at this diagram right here. You've got recruitment, then you've got the travel and transit. These are the things that happen. They very much do recruit these people. Andrew has spoken about this. They get them to travel to Romania, and then they exploit them. And you may say, well, where's the exploitation? They're getting paid. I mean, they're barely getting paid. Andrew literally admits that they are pretty much giving all of the money to him.
What kind of turnover were you talking, and what kind of percentage would you give the girls?
My best girl would do about $14,000 a month. I give her $1,000 a week.
I've seen comments out there being like, oh, well, you know, it's a business. And it's like, yeah, but most times in regular businesses, you're not convinced that you're in love with your boss, and then they make you give you like 95% of your earnings, and you may be like, where's the proof of that? I mean, Andrew literally admits that.
The geeks were weak for the chick, so gave the chick money, and the chicks were weak for this dick, so gave me money.
And it's really funny that Andrew will like deny these things and be like, oh no, you could just leave it at any time and stuff. But then there's an actual, just a pretty new video of him admitting that no, he doesn't allow his employees, quotation marks over that, to leave the premises.
Also, when you're a real G, is that you're here, you're there, you're everywhere. You're making moves, you're making money. You gotta go to Poland, you gotta go to Warsaw, fucking Dubai, Miami. Anyone who watches State Confidential knows I'm all over the place. So I end up with all these chicks just stuck in their house, sitting there, bored, completely in love with me. And of course, they don't go out. They're not allowed out. Like, oh, Tate's away, so they go out with their friends. No. You don't go to the club with your friends. I don't know what kind of bitch-ass dude is letting his chicks go to the club with her friends without him. No. You stay in the house. You don't go nowhere. You're not, no restaurants, no clubs, nothing.
So what is it? Do you allow them to leave or don't you? Because what you just said basically contradicts what you were previously saying in that podcast clip with your brother. But then there are other things out there about how he pretty much just admits to psychologically abusing women into working for them, manipulating them into working for them, making them jealous of each other and fighting for his affection. And just in general, it shows the guy's process of how he gets these people to work with him, these very young, vulnerable people. This is not a normal businessman. This is a clearly exploitative human being that knows how to manipulate young, vulnerable people in the name and pursuit of making money. If you defend this, you are just as bad as him. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys weren't convicted of absolutely anything, and not because I don't think they're guilty, because of the fact that, yes, they left Britain to go to a country where police can be bribed easily and where police are less, I guess, serious, forceful as the UK police. And the UK police themselves, as I've shown, are terrible, but I think they've moved to this country so they can get away with even more awful things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got away with this stuff. And I'm not surprised that they're denying this stuff. It's sick, it's messed up, but surely you, as an Andrew Tate fan watching this right now, can see that there is some suspicious and shady things going on. Even if you don't believe all of it, you can surely acknowledge that these guys have done some bad and wrong things, and their methods of making money are extremely immoral. But even if you don't think that, just look at the things you were speaking about earlier with Andrew Tate's opinions about people like Harvey Weinstein. These clearly aren't good people, and it shocks me that so many people want to look up to these guys as some peak alpha male, I guess, gurus who will make their lives better. They won't. They will literally just exploit you and make money off you. And you just can't help but ask the question for a millionth time of despite there's so much. Sorry, my voice just went really high pitched and now no Andrew Tate fan's gonna take me seriously. But there is just so much, and yet people just pretend that this information is just out of context, it's fake. I mean, how much smoke can there be for you to say that this isn't all out of context bullshit? There is no smoke without fire, but in this case, it's not smoke, it's the fucking Great Fire of London. Now, there is so much, basically what I would like to describe as Andrew Tate propaganda on TikTok. It's pretty much become a bit of a meme at this point that you can't go on that app without being flooded with Andrew Tate posts. Like, they are just everywhere, whether you want them or not. And the reason for that is way more shady and suspicious. But the thing is these posts are the reason so many people are getting indoctrinated into this cult, because that they will get the best possible clips that they could see of Tate come up on their For You page or a funny post, and they'll think, wow, yeah, I disagree with him on some of those things that he said about, Harvey Weinstein's victims, but also he says things about men being strong, independent, and powerful, and I vibe with that. People will genuinely think like that because they'll see more TikToks of Andrew being either funny or saying something very basic and generic about how men should be independent and strong. This happens so much on TikTok, and it is the main reason this guy is absolutely loved and well known by a lot of people. But the thing that isn't mentioned is how shady this is, because it isn't spoken about that much. The fact that Andrew Tate actually pays people to spread these clips. Now, I mentioned before in this video that Andrew Tate has a subscription-based service, and I spoke about that in my other video, which is Hustlers University. Now, I do believe that this is the thing that causes Andrew to get most of his millions, and basically on this is like this alpha male guide of Andrew and I guess Tristan teaching people on how you can be real alpha males, and it's like, I honestly, I really don't understand how Andrew Tate has brainwashed people into convincing people that he is the epitome of an alpha male. When I think alpha male, I think Jason Momoa. I don't think this bloke from Luton. I think this guy. This is an alpha. I'm not claiming to be an alpha, but really? Are you that brainwashed? But yeah, Hustlers University is there, but to me, it's also a little bit shady, because with this, when you sign up, you get an affiliate code for Hustlers University, and basically, if people use your affiliate code, you get a cut from them signing on to Hustlers University, but then they can do the exact same thing as well by using their own affiliate code and getting other people to subscribe to Hustlers University, and basically, it just progressively goes from there. Or one person will sign another person will sign another, and another person will sign another, and they are all taking cuts from this, whilst most of the money, or if not all of the money, goes to Andrew Tate at the very top of the pyramid. I keep saying, why do people support Andrew throughout this entire video? Well, for the most part, a lot of people out there spreading these videos on TikTok, because you'll go on TikTok, there'll be a million videos of Andrew Tate despite you don't even like him. The reason for that is because people are being paid to do that. They may not even like Andrew Tate, but Andrew literally claims on their website that people can make so much money from this. He literally claims that a 13-year-old can make $500 a day from this, which is just insane to me, because it shows that this bloke has no boundaries. I mean, the guy is willing to indoctrinate a 13-year-old into his Hustler University, which is heavily linked with all the other stuff that he preaches, and then make money off them. I mean, if that isn't a summary of this guy, I don't know what is. But then, yeah, this is why Andrew is absolutely everywhere, because pretty much you are encouraged to share his clips if you are a part of this pyramid scheme, because you are going to make more and more money from it. This is why Andrew is now everywhere. You go onto TikTok and see a random fan page, and that is because these people will share their affiliate codes, make money, and only be pushed to doing it even more, because that will make them more and more money. People always say, how is Andrew so popular despite not actually having a TikTok account? Well, this is how. And it's also some sick form of genius serious because Andrew can't be banned from TikTok. People have been saying, deplatform Andrew Tate. It's impossible for the most part. You can remove him from things like Instagram, but ultimately the guy got popular without an account because of the incentive of his pyramid scheme. This guy is pretty much undefeated. This guy can't be stopped for the most part because people are being paid to do this and share these clips without him even having an account. So all I can say is maybe spread that message, because there'll be a lot of people out there being like, wow, my love for this guy is validated because loads of other people love this guy because of all these clips I'm seeing. When to be honest with you, that probably isn't even the case. I doubt all of these people spreading these clips even like Andrew, but ultimately they are making easy money. They're being manipulated by Andrew, but then the foot soldiers of Andrew are manipulating tons of random young impressionable men who get sucked into this and only get worse and worse. Making quick money is something that everybody wants, you know. People always want to find get rich quick schemes, and this pyramid scheme of Andrew Tate is an easy way for a lot of people out there to make money by spreading the dangerous views of this man. Basically, Andrew Tate wins in all of these scenarios. He literally almost cannot be defeated based on the fact that no matter what, he is going to be making money by his name being spread. And that does lead to a lot of accusations and beliefs of, should we even speak about this guy? Should we spread the word about Andrew Tate being bad? Because will that just help him? Because to be honest with you, I do think that even a video like this will in some way inadvertently benefit Andrew. But at this point, Andrew is absolutely everywhere, and things are starting to get dangerous. I mean, I showed you that Reddit post earlier of somebody being assaulted just because they didn't agree with their friend about Andrew Tate. I think that we do need to speak about this more. We shouldn't be just treating Andrew Tate as this funny, memeable guy, because that's what happened in times of 2016. That's what happened in the past, of where people were like, this funny guy that says hateful things is just a meme. But then a few years later, a lot of damage is done. This is something that happens so much, and it's so utterly worrying. You will get this very, very reprehensible figure, but they'll be funny and memeable. And even I've accidentally laughed at a Tate clip and felt bad, because even then, that is playing into it. Just sharing clips that are funny plays into it. And a lot of us have done that because it's so ridiculous of the things he's saying. But ultimately, that's how he makes money. That's how he sucks people in. And it does just make things get progressively dangerous. But I do think it is now important to speak about this guy, because actually at this point, he is absolutely everywhere. Everyone does know who Andrew Tate is, and I think it is important for people to speak about him. I don't agree with interviewing him on platforms and stuff like that. I really don't think that's a good thing to do, but I think you can speak about this guy and debunk the things that he says and show the things that he does. And in fact, I think the most important thing to share is, yes, everything in this video, but also the fact that Andrew isn't this self-made guy. The guy literally has a father who is a famous chess player who apparently has millions and millions of pounds. This guy called Emery Tate, who is apparently Andrew's father, is rich. So the facade of Andrew being this big hustler G who made all his money by himself pretty much isn't actually true, because his dad comes from money, and it is yet again another case of a famous person pretending that they're self-made and come from money, when in reality that isn't true. It's a complete facade and a complete lie, and Andrew will absolutely deny that and create all these excuses and probably be like, oh, I didn't know my dad that well, or something like that. But the reality is, the only reason he will say that is because if Andrew isn't seen as this self-made millionaire, he will no longer be as loved and respected by his incel audience as he currently is. Andrew is not self-made. He's a liar, a fraud, and a scam artist. The rise of Andrew Tate isn't a surprise to me. This is something that happens every few years, where some crazy person gets a load of power on the internet, but it is worrying. Despite it's a regular thing, it is worrying that people are worshipping this man.
You cheater, you cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch!
People who say that this is a response to feminism, and a response to people saying kill all men, are just so insane to me, because whilst I do agree that the narrative kill all men doesn't help anybody, for the most part, I really don't think that's a narrative that's being spread by every single woman. I think that's just a narrative that a few vocal people on social media have spread. For the most part, outside of the internet, nobody is saying things like that. In fact, I genuinely don't believe that most women hate men. I think people are very untrustworthy of men, but I don't believe that people have an outright hatred. And even if they did, there is no excuse for following somebody like Andrew Tate saying things like that and saying things like this and doing things like this. There is no real, genuine reason to support somebody like this as a response to feminism, because to be honest with you, you are just giving these people an actual reason to hate you. Why would your response to people being untrustworthy of men be like, oh, well, you know, I'm just gonna go and give you a million reasons to not actually trust me? It's like, why would you think that? And why would you think that helps in any shape or way or form? Surely, as I've said, you should get angry at the people that have caused people to feel unsafe and feel pretty much hatred towards men. Now, again, as I was saying, I think outside of Twitter and TikTok, I think for the most part, people don't have an outright hatred for all men, but I can understand why people, given decades and centuries of so much oppression and misogyny, why people would be untrustworthy. And again, nearly every single woman I know cannot go outside without facing some form of harassment. So I can understand why people would be untrustworthy. And why would you get angry at that? Get angry at the people that make them feel uncomfortable. Don't get mad at the victims. Why would you do that? I mean, probably because you follow Andrew Tate, who in itself is a victim blamer. Now, there are so many clips out there that we could go through. In fact, I think Daz Black is doing a video where he pretty much does just that. And I think that's great. And I think those clips are worth looking into. Yet at the same time, what I want this video to be is more of just a look into the real shadiness of this guy. A real look into how deep and dark and scary and some of the links that this person has with other people out there. It is terrifying, and it is even more terrifying that this guy now has such a large fan base. This is a human being that basically just ran a business where they completely took advantage of people. They literally admit to these things, not just the girls, but the customers. People here in every category were taken advantage of. The customer, the girls, even the fans of Andrew Tate, who are mugs enough to believe everything that he says, are just going to make him more and more money. In conclusion to this video, I'm not going to try and convince you any longer to no longer be a fan of Andrew Tate. I'm just going to say to you, just realize that he doesn't care about you. He probably thinks you're an absolute mug. And to be honest, I think Andrew and Trishan are probably sat there laughing that they have hoodwinked the entire internet into thinking that they are these peak alpha male geniuses, when in reality, they are just scam artists running a glorified pyramid scheme. And you are an absolute mug if you think it is any more than that. These guys clearly are willing to do absolutely anything for money, and so many people have bought into that. I'm not claiming to be some groundbreaking feminist preaching feminist theory. Yes, I do think feminism is a good thing, but I'm not claiming to be like, oh, I'm coming on here and changing the game, you know. I'm not doing that. And in fact, I could probably say much more in-depth, detailed things, but, you know, I don't claim to know all of the things, you know. I'm just coming on here as a regular bloke saying that this is clearly insane and ridiculous. And if you think that people are like me are saying this just to get pussy, you are so unbelievably brain dead. It's just more shocking to me at how brain dead a human being can be. I thought after, you know, the last few years, things were getting better, but it's clearly no, things are exactly the same. And that's just so unbelievably sad. To end this video, my God, man, if you're still a fan of Andrew Tate, please just get a fucking grip. That is the ending of this video. Thanks for coming along. My voice is going because I've been recording for ages. Please like this video because there are going to be nut jobs in this comment section. Please like this video like you've never liked a video before. Let's try and get it to 40,000 likes. That would be absolutely amazing. Please share this video. That is just as important as an Andrew Tate fan sharing an Andrew Tate TikTok. Share this video, get the information out there, and get Andrew Tate fans realizing that they are just being used and exploited in a pyramid scheme to make an exploitative person more money. Thank you for coming along to this video. inabberLive's second channel, inabber on Instagram, inabber69 on Twitter, and now I am going to go to bed. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, also, I just want to cut in and say, this is the post-credit scene. Could you do me a favor and please go watch this video, then please go watch this video, and after that, you could even watch this video, because basically, I need you guys to watch my video and my inabber propaganda. No, seriously though, if you don't watch my videos, I don't like you. I'm joking. Well, I'm not, but you could just watch them and basically just give me your money. Not your money, but Google that. I don't even know what I'm saying this. Just watch my videos. Cheers.